What's up? My name is Ken Dumbo, the MC with the sauce. Don't forget to subscribe to J. Cool.
And to discuss the story regarding the allegations that some members of parliament, mostly those from the opposition, have already started or have been bribed by the ruling party. Doc, good evening to you and welcome to the analysis program.
Thank you so much for having me and good evening.
Thank you so much, and allow me to apologize to you. I know that this phone call, you did not expect it, but we value you for picking our call so abruptly.
No, on the issues that have to do with Zambia, you can call anytime because that's our country.
Right, thank you so much. Let's get into it. You've written a very strong statement, very strong and long statement as usual. But what is important for the people of Zambia watching the program are the revelations you've just brought out that some opposition MPs have already started or have been bribed. What's the story here?
Well, the story is that the president is desperate to pass that bill. At various stages, that bill has been rejected by the people. If you remember, the Constitutional Court ruled that the process that gave rise to Bill 7 was unconstitutional. But in the aftermath of that, in fact, before the ruling, he tried to preempt it by directing the Minister of Justice to withdraw that bill. Not to actually say, no, we have suspended. I don't know, I've forgotten the language he used. The challenge with that thinking was that it seemed as if he was doing that out of his own goodwill, even though he claimed that it was in the aftermath of the conversation that he had at State House with the civil society organizations. Now, the moment the Constitutional Court ruled that the process that gave birth to Bill 7 was constitutional, it meant that that thing was now void. And even the Law Association of Zambia did say that you can't resurrect this thing, you have to start afresh. To this day, Ichilema and his friends in government have not withdrawn that bill from Parliament. They have left it there. And we know the story. They went on and appointed the committee. The Constitutional Court ruling was very clear in terms of its orders. It says, one, the process must be led by the people. What you have seen is that the executive is the one that is leading it. And that's the point I was trying to make in that article. He said that violates the order of the Constitutional Court judgment. And then the second element of that ruling was that there should be an independent body of experts. What we saw was not an independent board of experts. It was the supporters of the president appointed and then branded as a technical committee. You see, there are certain things over which other countries should put together. We shouldn't antagonize each other to say, I'm going to bulldoze my way here because I'm the president. That constitution is for all of us. It's not just for UPND members, it's for every Zambian. And so we should build consensus. The people said, the court said, can you appoint an independent board of experts? We saw something else. Why this insistence? The president is desperate to pass that constitutional amendment bill number 7 because it is essential to the ruling party's electoral prospects. And I was demonstrating in that article that he has not ended there. In fact, he has been very busy mobilizing support from opposition MPs and independents. Now, if you have followed developments, you have not seen even those people who are standing for PF, presidential leadership, MPs. You have not heard, for example, them denouncing Bill 7 to say, oh, we are not going to support Bill 7 for this and that reason. For example, the public are opposed to it. The Oasis Forum has been very, very clear in its position that this thing should be done. However, it should be rejected and abandoned. Now, what you would expect is MPs, especially from the opposition, being very, very clear in relation to their position on this bill. If I asked you to say, do you know the position of, say, Brian Munduwido on the bill? You won't, because he doesn't give that position. He has not said if this thing comes to Parliament, I'm going to vote against this bill. If I asked you, do you know the position of Gampiong on this bill? Or any other PFL, for example, maybe Mao Sampa and a couple of others would say they have expressed themselves. But for many PFLPs, they haven't. And I discovered evidence actually that for many of them, under the table payments have been agreed with the executive to say you're going to support us in this bill, and in return for all sort of favors. So there are a number of reasons. One is financial inducement that has been given to MPs to say if you support this thing, we are going to give you 3 million. To be divided in 2 installments. 1.5 million will be paid to you before the vote. The other 1.5 million will be paid to you after the vote. Now, these are under the table payments that are difficult to prove. But some of the people who have been approached, I've spoken to them, and I can't disclose their name because it's in confidence. They say, this is what is happening, and we thought we should know. Now, the other MPs who have prosecutable offences, the executive went to them and said, here is a dossier on you that we have. You should have done this, you didn't do it, it's a crime, you can go to court. In exchange for your freedom, you're going to support Bill 7. They're compromised. Even MPs that Zambians today think that they are clean and very, very good MPs, they're actually compromised. Then you have a third layer of MPs who have some different cases away from corruption. There's one MP, for example, that I won't name, where they went to him and said, no, you have almost a murder case here. We can go in and you lose your seat. You are going to support this Bill 7, otherwise you're going to. That MP is a PF MP, and he agreed. So you have a set of different reasons, but what is consistent, the commonality between all these reasons is the financial inducement. Now, what the Horses Forum should do to actually expose some of these MPs who have taken the bribes, or who are lining up taking the bribes, some of them I know this week are lining up, are going to say, can I have my advance? What the Horses Forum should do is to go to MPs, especially the opposition one and the independents, and go with a social contract of some kind to say, can you sign here pledging that you are not going to support this bill or its successor because it's against public interest? So those MPs who refuse to sign, the public then should be able to make their own conclusions. Because, for example, you have MPs who have said we are endorsing Mundovile. Okay, there have been signed about 9 of them. Why should you be willing to sign a document endorsing an individual, but be unwilling to sign a document pledging support to defend the Constitution? When the MPs were elected, they pledged to uphold the law, to defend the Constitution. So what is being asked of them is not something strange. It is a very, very principled thing to do. The Constitution must be protected from executive interests. We heard, and I wrote in that article, you heard Marshall Mujende telling us that that thing was a government-driven exercise. Even the committee that was appointed was to go and do the government's work. He said this on Radio Phoenix when he appeared there, I think on October 23 on Radio People Talk. Now, the court judgment was not saying that. The court was saying it should be the people-driven exercise. Here is the government Solicitor General who is telling you, no, this whole thing was actually a predetermined thing. It is a sham because the court judgment has not been followed.
I know,
when you are supposed to hold the executive to account, participating in this kind of corrupt activities under the table payments, that is wrong because you are betraying public interest.
Interesting. I know this will be a long conversation between yourself and us in the media. I was actually curious to find out, based on the research that the information you've gathered as a researcher, and I know you as a very candid man, a blunt person when it comes to conversation. And I was very much curious to find out who are those MPs who have seemingly sold the people of Zambia via this constitutional amendment. But of course, you've mentioned that you can't name them. I will leave it like that. Let me go by the number. How many of these opposition MPs so far? Let's just capture the number. How many in total have seemingly already been bribed or are in the process of being bribed?
Those who have accepted under the table payments are 10 MPs. The numbers may rise. I know about 3 who are on the verge of accepting to do so. But it also depends on the pressure from outside. This thing that Oasis Forum is doing is very, very important because MPs behave like soldiers. They go with the public mood. If they see that this thing is not supported by the people and the church is in the forefront of doing that, they can turn around. For some of them, you see, they have not lost their consciousness completely. They can turn. But what was missing is what the Oasis Forum has started, which is to generate public sentiment. You have to understand also here that this constitutional thing is linked even to the divisions you are seeing in PF. There are different factions in the PF, and the PF has not helped matters here because of those factions. So you have the Rwanda faction, you have the Munduvile faction, then you have the Chavinga faction, and you have the Makebi faction. Even the event you saw where Rwanda was suspending people, I think it was yesterday I think it was yesterday or the day before. Those things are linked to what's going on. There are many mistakes that the PF has made. For example, Rwanda, in my view, should never have stood for the PF president because as president, his job should have been to hold on to the party, to unite the party. And make sure that those who are standing are able to do so without him participating in a context that could lead to a conflict of interest. But he is the legitimate president of the PF at the moment because he was appointed by Edgar Lungu, for example. So whether one likes him or not, they have got to recognize that leadership. That leadership is essential, providing the kind of leadership that you need for the opposition, main opposition party, to have a principled position or a common position on issues like Bhutan. But the decision by Rwanda to stand has made things worse because it places him in a position where he's both a player and the referee. So even when he does decisions like that he took the other day where he suspects some people, and in my view, which was the correct thing that he did, given what they were doing in the background, it looks like it's a wrong thing. But you have to understand the other faction. You have the Chavinga faction. Chavinga has no support in the PF, but he has the papers and he is backed by the state. The state has realized that Chavinga is not taking us anywhere because he doesn't have the papers. So what the executive did was to go for somebody else, one of the candidates, and say, okay, we are going to work with this one. And here's what we are going to do. We are going to give you your freedom, we are going to give you money, we are going to give you a position. In return, you are going to give us MPs support for Bill 7, and we are going to give us structures because we need somebody to work with. And we can have a deal after the election where it's almost like a government of national unity, a German declaration of some kind, somebody making the president look like a kaunda of some kind. There are things that are happening in the background, my brother, that Zambians don't know, but that shows the rottenness of our politics. So you have that faction of that one is also sponsored by the state. The people that Zambians actually think these are principled people, they are not. And that pains me greatly.
Which one is that? Which one is that?
At some point we can go in with the names, but I'm trying to highlight the factions that are making it very easy for those outsiders to actually buy MPs.
Right.
So you have I've talked about the two factions supported by the state, and then you have the Rwanda faction, and then you have what's the name of this guy, Makebi Zulu. You see, Makebi Zulu comes in, and this is somebody who was leading this thing against who was a spokesperson for the family. Again, that has problems in terms of were you doing all this thing to come to this conclusion, for example. But Makebi Zulu is like Edgar Lungu. You see, he was very close to Edgar Lungu, and I suspect that there are people who are very close to Edgar Lungu who associate with Makebi Zulu, for example, and say, no, in Makebi Zulu we see somebody who, we can work with closely, for example. They can support him in one way or the other. I have problems with all these candidates, for different reasons. The key point is that these factional battles in the PF have made it easy for each of them and his friends to target this party for capture.
Right.
So you have MPs who are it's blackmailed, so to speak, by the executive. You have to do this or else this will happen. They have skeletons, of course, in their closet. They have prosecutable offenses. But Zambians don't know some of these people, that they're actually compromised people. They're out betraying public interest. That's why I'm hoping that the Oasis Forum can go to each MP, particularly the opposition and the independents, Go there and ask them, can you commit that you are not going to support this thing that Ichirema and his friends want to force upon us? Those who refuse, my brother, to sign that thing, they will expose themselves, because you have traitors, people who are betraying public interest. It shouldn't happen. When the people have placed hope in these MPs, they should do the principled thing, which is to reject the Bill 7.
Right.
For its successor when it is.
And lastly, Doc, there is an amnesty which has been given by the president so far. I think there was a statement issued by State House today of the president making an indication that there's no need for the people to go on the street and protest, because the doors of State House are open. Should the Oasis Forum or the conveners of this pending protest call off the protest and go and meet the president? What is your take?
My take is that is twofold. First is that if you look at those statements that Hamasaka likes issuing on the name of the president, they often turn out to be untrue. It's one thing when HH stands up and says something, it's HH speaking. It's another thing when it's Hamasaka who issues a statement and dumps it to the public to say we should believe that this is what HH has said. Why? Because Hamasaka has put a statement there. If you remember, Hamasaka issued a statement some time back saying HH has no intention whatsoever to change the constitution, to amend the constitution before the next election. John Sangwa even wrote a letter, a lengthy one. I remember that. He wrote to HH to commend him, he praised on him, saying you are very different from those who came before you, because they always change the constitution. So this commitment you have made is very, very encouraging. John is my friend. I told John, I said, I don't believe what Hamasaka says, that HH can say this. HH will change the constitution. John said, no, but we have to believe that what Hamasaka is saying is actually what the HH has told you to say. Where are we today? We are at a stage where HH is pushing to change the constitution. The same person who, according to Hamasaka's press statement, told us that he was not going to change the constitution. So I doubt some of these statements that Hamasaka issues in the name of HH on those papers. Let HH come out. Let him not be a coward. Come out and say, this is what I'm thinking. He was addressing people at the church gathering some point earlier today. He could have said those things himself, but we know that we are dealing with him. We can hold him to account, because the people he keeps sending, like Hamasaka, to speak in his name. Hamasaka, he doesn't even allow Hamasaka to speak. When you have press conferences or whatever, people are meeting, the person who speaks is Jito, who is an economic advisor according to his designation. Hamasaka, he didn't even take him seriously enough to actually be the face of the president in terms of communication, especially where in meetings involving other foreign dignitaries. We saw the Chinese thing. You would think actually Hamasaka is not there at State House. So even this statement that has been issued, it should be taken with a pinch of salt, because we have seen a statement issued by Hamasaka before that have turned out to be true. The second point is that the president is being insincere. You see, if he had wanted to dialogue, he should not have proceeded with a technical committee. He should have announced the suspension of that bill to allow for dialogue. That's what you do. You don't do what he has done. You go ahead with the committee. You go ahead with all this process that have happened. When this committee is about to give him a report, and I know that they are pushing, I can tell you for a fact that they are pushing to have that Bill 7 be brought back to Parliament before the 5th of December when Parliament goes back on recess. That's their plan. So he's not sincere in that call. He's just trying to derail the Oasis Forum's move so that this 28th November protest doesn't go ahead. So that he can say, I called them, these people. What the Oasis Forum should do is to proceed with that protest. If the president wants, he can wait for them at status when they deliver the protest. Say, here is our concern. You can respond and then set a meeting with them afterwards, if at all he wants, because he would have received their petition. If the police want to stop the bishops, let them go ahead, because can you imagine a sight of Archbishop Chama being arrested by the police for unlawful assembly? It will be a terrible sight. What the president should do is to allow the Oasis Forum to proceed, let them present their concerns to him, and if he's sincere, he should abandon the Bill 7 thing, everything that has been done so far, withdraw that thing from Parliament, and then announce a suspension of the process that have taken place so far, and say, I'm calling for dialogue.
All right.
You can't do what the president has done and then come out at the 11th hour to say, let's talk. That man should really respect the people. It's not good what he's doing.
Interesting. So, should they call off the protest as we go? Should they call off?
No, they shouldn't.
Okay.
They shouldn't. That would be a huge mistake. That's exactly what they want. They want to derail that protest. No, let them go ahead with the protest. It's a peaceful thing. What is important, the bishop, the Oasis Forum has said to be a peaceful exercise, and that's a very good thing. Let them proceed. Just stand their ground, go to the Freedom Statue, march to the State House, deliver their petition to the president peacefully, and let the president respond. In the end, if what they want is dialogue, he will still get that at the end. That dialogue can take place after the protest. If he means well and he wants dialogue, let him suspend everything relating to Bhutan, including this rubbish of the technical committee that he appointed to rubber stamp his wishes.
Well, rubbish is a very strong word, though, to use, though. Otherwise, thank you so much for speaking to us this evening.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for tuning in to JQ News. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for the latest updates on tech, politics, and everything in between. Until next time, stay cool.